Hello. Today we're going to be exploring our gifts. Ooh, our gifts. What are our gifts? Why don't we use them? Why do we hide them? And a little bit about how we can really begin to unwrap those gifts that we have in us. Can't wait. Good morning, another Wisdom Walk day. Deanne Rose Hope Riendo here. Okay, I want to talk about our gifts. I want to talk about our beautiful divine ability and the call that is out there right now for us to stand in our gifts, to leverage our gifts, to use the gifts. I've had a lot of clients come to me and they're like, oh, you're so intuitive. How do I become more intuitive? I think things, but I'm not really sure. You know, a lot of people are questioning these incredible abilities that they have. And it's no wonder. It's no wonder. We have been conditioned to believe that we do not have these incredible skills. We've been conditioned to believe that we are less than, that we are powerless in many aspects of our lives. And since the beginning of time, people who have stepped into their gifts have been ridiculed, persecuted, judged. We even look at the example, of course, Jesus Christ. And Jesus stood in his truth, and he shared that truth with the world, and because of that, he was condemned. No wonder people don't want to do the thing. So firstly, I want to give you all some grace. So for those of you that are just leaning into your sacred gifts, for you just starting to open up to the possibilities of what you have inside of you to share with the world, know that it is with deep compassion and grace that you are exactly where you need to be. There is no rush in this process, but most certainly, will it help you to manifest more? Will it help you to feel fulfilled? Will it allow you to feel more complete, more joy, all of those things? Yes, if you are willing to do the unwrapping of the gifts. Now, what happens is our gifts get buried beneath limited beliefs, under conditioning. So they get buried under all of these layers, even traumas and things like that, of course. And so sometimes the unwrapping of these gifts can seem a little bit scary, not only because you have to now go through a process of, healing some of the stuff, and that can be intimidating sometimes, but also because we're removing this old conditioning that says, no, if you do this, people will think you're crazy. If you allow these gifts to shine, your life is going to change. And we have resistance to those things, and that's okay. The point here is that when we stand in our truth, when we are in full alignment with our truth, we give other people permission to do the same thing. And that is a gift in itself, is it not? And I remember when I had my near-death experience and I was surrounded by the angels, and it was such a euphoric, beautiful experience. I remember that feeling of like, oh my God, people are going to think I'm crazy if I start sharing this story. And I was so grateful for my brother-in-law, who also felt the energy of the angels when I had my near-death, because he was there and he caught me. And so he felt a presence of the angels too. And so he validated my experience. And that was a gift for me, because it showed me that, okay, I wasn't losing it. I could share this message. And I started sharing this story about angels on stages. And I remember the first time feeling so nervous. It's like, what are people gonna think? And the slew of people that came after my talk, coming to say, oh my God, I had a similar story and I could never talk to anybody about it. I didn't know, I didn't feel safe to tell anybody. It was such a beautiful process to witness. And so we know that there's gifts within the gifts, gifts within the gifts. And it is infinite once we tap into that energy. How great is that? How beautiful is that? So here's the thing. It's not as scary as you think. And there are people in this world that are meant to help us and guide us on that journey. And so that's what I ended up doing in my journey, is I found people that were talking the same language. I found people that knew a little bit more than I did. And I started to learn from them, and I started to watch them, and I started to share more and more. And the more I shared, the more would come back to me. And so our gifts are infinite. We might say grace is a gift, which, by the way, grace is innately given, right? We have it just by our awareness of it, okay? But all these other gifts that we have, they're innately given. You've got them. Everybody has them. There is nobody in this world that doesn't have this incredible gift, whether it's intuition, whether it is tied to more of a clairvoyancy, tied to imagination, whatever that might be. And so these gifts are worth exploring. And it doesn't necessarily have to be hard. Oftentimes we can make it a little harder on ourselves, can't we? But it doesn't have to be hard. And so I want to bring to the surface that the opportunity is here. It's at your fingertips. And I want to bring to light a little bit of a story for you. It's something I share in some of my talks that I do. And here's the scenario. I learned this from an Indigenous fellow years and years ago. And he's saying, okay, Deanne, he said, think about you going shopping, and you're out shopping and you see something that you know someone you love would love. So maybe it's a book that resonates. Maybe it's a little trinket or something that would be really special. And you're like, oh my God, so-and-so would love this gift. And so you buy the gift and you take it home and you wrap it, or you put it in a nice gift bag and you make it all pretty, and you bring it over to this person you love. And you say, here, I got you something, and so excited for you to open it. And they say, oh my God, thank you so much. I'm just really busy right now, so I'll put it over here and I'll open it later. You know, thanks a lot. And so you part ways, knowing that when this person opens this gift, they're gonna reach out to you, call you, text you, whatever, and they're gonna be so excited. And so you wait, and you don't hear from this friend. And days go by and weeks go by, and you're thinking like, what, did this gift make them mad or something? Like, why haven't they called me? Did they not appreciate my gift? You know, all these things start to go through our heads, right? And for some of you who are more evolved, you might not care so much, but for most of us, we're gonna feel some sort of rejection or hurt or disappointment that this friend didn't open this gift, right? So you end up calling the friend because you're like, what's going on? And you call your friend and you say, hey, what's going on? They say, oh my gosh, you know, it's been so long, come on over. So you go over to their place and you see your gift still sitting fully wrapped, sitting right where it was left. And you know, again, that feeling of maybe disappointment comes up, maybe rejection, maybe you feel hurt, you know, whatever that might be. And so then we can ask ourselves the question, I wonder how God feels when we don't open our gifts. Huh? I wonder how God feels when we don't open our gifts. Now, I like to put the caveat on there, my God is an all-forgiving God and not one to judge, but most certainly the point of the story is, oh my gosh, we have these incredible divine packages. And what would happen? What would happen if we all leaned into these divine packages? What would happen if we all began to access these gifts and to lean into them? This world would just be a different world, wouldn't it be? And so my invitation to you is to explore the possibility of your gifts. Explore the possibility of your gifts. I worked as a medic and firefighter for my first career. After my dad saved my life when I was 5 from choking, that was my first near death, I knew I wanted to help save others. And so I became an EMT firefighter. I worked in those capacities for about 5 years. But what would happen in that time is, you know, I'd shut down all my gifts as a kid because I felt weird and I wanted to fit in, you know, I wanted to feel normal. But as an EMT, what would happen is there's a lot of death in that career. I'm not saying that because I think it's funny that there was a lot of death, but it's funny to me that I chose a career that was so traumatic, having experienced some personal trauma in my life. But nonetheless, you know, I worked in this capacity as a medic, and sometimes we'd get to homes and the people would already be dead, and sometimes they would have just died, and we'd try to revive them. And oftentimes I actually felt pretty helpless in that career. But what really showed up for me in that time was energies would come home with me. So I would get beings, spirits, coming home with me. And I remember not knowing what that was. I remember just feeling really creeped out. Sometimes I would have several showers just in case. You know, I just didn't make the connection that I had this gift of mediumship. And that didn't even show up till years and years later. I still wasn't aware that that was a gift. And so a lot of the gifts that we have, we don't even recognize them. They keep showing up repetitively, and we either push them away, or we kind of, we push it aside because our ego says, oh, that doesn't make sense, that's not logical, that's not normal, that sort of thing. And so we kind of push it aside. Oh no, better push that aside. And part of that is a form of protection, of course. Our ego mind wants to protect us, right? But the other piece of this is that we have been told and conditioned to believe that we can't move objects with our mind, that we can't speak telepathically. That's just in the movies. That's just really special, unique people. I don't believe it. I don't buy it for 1 second. I think it shows up over and over and over for us. And our ego minds have been so over time conditioned that we now play that story, that narrative, and then we allow the ego to override us. And then again, we push that to the side. So again, there's no blame in not, stepping into these aspects of our being. There's no blame in that. But there is an opportunity for us to be more curious about it, for us to reflect on all the times in our life where we had I knew I should have or shouldn't have done it, or those synchronistic moments. Go back in your memory and pull those up. And as you do, you're going to recognize, oh my God, I heard a message in my mind. I must be clairaudient, or you'll have a vision or have had a vision, and you can recognize that as clairvoyancy. Maybe you're an empath and you just have gut feelings about things. Go back. You'll see hundreds, thousands of times in your lifetime where this has shown up for you. It's always been there. It's just we didn't know it. And we knew it, but allowed the ego to override. So, the gifts, the gifts. So many of them. They are so rich for us. And when you start to lean in, this is where the magic really begins, everybody. And so I invite you, explore your gifts. Reach out to people in your communities that might be able to help you and support you as you move that path, so that you know that you're not alone in it. It's all here for us. It's all here within us. Everything you seek is inside of you. It is not outside of you. It is all within you. So with that said, play with your gifts, be curious, build relationship to those gifts, and find people who can support you in that process. That's it for me today. Have a wonderful, blessed day.